Welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout New Vegas, where today we're going to be taking a look at the Gatling Laser. This is our final heavy weapon, although we will be talking about the plasma caster with the mod on it slightly, because I forgot about that in the plasma caster video, so we'll be doing that at the very end of this video. The Gatling Laser has been in, I think, every single Fallout game, or almost every single Fallout game so far, and it is a very iconic weapon. It is a minigun that shoots out lasers, which is pretty awesome. I love the Gatling Laser. It looks really cool. And I don't think it's really been disappointing in any of the Fallout games. I think it's been pretty decent in all of them. So the Gatling Laser is a high-level energy weapon that you're probably going to have to buy from either the Brotherhood or from the Silver Rush. There really isn't any enemies that carry around Gatling Lasers. There's a couple, like the trauma suits can have them at very high levels in Oldwood Blues. The Brotherhood can have them, but that's about it. There's not really anybody else that carries around Gatling Lasers. The Gatling Laser requires 100 energy weapons and 8 strength to wield. So very high energy weapons, very high strength. You would kind of expect it from a weapon like this. This does 10 damage on hit, so fairly low damage, but it does 300 damage per second. And the damage per second can be exponentially higher with this, depending on what ammo you're putting into it and what perks you have with the Gatling Laser. So it just rips right through just about anything. This one has 10 crit damage, so not the most on crit damage, but if you're hitting crits fairly often, this one is pretty strong. This one does have a very low crit chance at 0.02 times, so you're very unlikely to be hitting crits, unless you have certain perks, which we're going to be talking about in the perks section once we get there. This one costs 30 action points, which is actually not too bad for a heavy weapon like this. This one has very low spread at 0.6. That is technically the most spread out of any of the laser weapons, but it's still fairly low for a fully automatic weapon. That's still better than like the 44 Magnum in terms of accuracy. This one has a magazine of 240. This one can actually take quite a while for you to run out of ammo with it, which is kind of surprising given how fast it shoots. This one does weigh 18 weight in total, which is fairly heavy. It doesn't make it so heavyweight can affect this and cut it in half, so that's kind of nice. And this has 1500 item HP, which it definitely needs because it can go through that item HP fairly fast since you are shooting this so quick. For the pros of the Gatling Laser, this one does have high damage per second, really high damage per second, it's really good at that. And it also has a big magazine, which is good. Makes so sustained fire is really good with the Gatling Laser. The major cons for the Gatling Laser are that this one is rare, you're probably going to have to buy it, and it's probably going to be expensive, so be aware of that. It's also going to be expensive to fix if you don't have weapon repair kits or jury rigging. Jury rigging does help it out quite a bit, because then you can repair this with like flamethrowers and stuff, so that's not so bad. And this one is fairly heavy. 18 weight is quite a bit of weight, as well as you do have to account for the ammo if you're playing on the hardcore difficulty, which makes it so this can actually weigh you down quite a bit. Let's talk about the perks that help out with this one, and there are some that definitely help this out. Heavyweight helps us out, sort of, unless you're going with the modified version of the Gatling Laser, in which case then it doesn't affect it. So the modified version of the Gatling Laser can already have its weight cut in half, which will take it down to 9, which is just heavy enough, or light enough, depending on how you look at it, to not be affected by heavyweight. If it weighed 2 more weight, if it was an even 20 weight, then you could cut it down to 10, and then you could cut it again with heavyweight down to 5, and that would be pretty awesome. But, I mean, heavyweight's kind of cool to cut it down to 9, that way you don't need the carbon fiber frame for this, unless you want to throw it on there, in which case, by all means, do it. Laser Commander is incredibly strong at the Gatling Laser, because the way Laser Commander and Set Lasers to Fun, I believe, also works this way, where they count as their own separate crit modifier for laser weapons. So you get more crit chance with them, and they are separate from your weapon's critical multiplier, so you're more likely to hit crits with them than you would be for a weapon like the Gatling Laser, which has a really low crit modifier. That's pretty good. That makes it so crits are very effective with the Gatling Laser and work really, really well. It's actually incredibly strong if you want to go Laser Commander on the Gatling Laser. You can also take Meltdown on this. Since it's an energy weapon, you melt down an enemy and then it explodes and deals more damage to the enemies around it. Gives it even more crowd control, which is pretty awesome. And yeah, the only thing you have to worry about that is getting too close and blowing yourself up, which did happen to me a couple times when I was using the Gatling Laser, because I can kill things very fast and I don't expect that. There is also the ammo that we need to talk about with the Gatling Laser. This one uses the electronic charge packs, so this is the same energy cells that weapons like the Laser RCW use, and that means you have a couple different ammo varieties to use too. So with the regular charge packs, these ones do regular damage, but they do have armor breaking on them, which is pretty cool, just like all the energy cells. That's really nice for the Gatling Laser, especially a weapon like this that has low damage. If you can punch through more armor, that helps a lot against heavily armored enemies. You have the bulk cells, which you can buy in bulk, but these ones do 15% less damage, but they break your weapon a little bit slower. These ones can be pretty good for the Gatling Laser, so long as you're not fighting like armored enemies, because then the other cells are just going to be better for it. We have the overcharge cells. These give you more damage, punch through more armor, break your weapon a bit faster. You have the max cells. These ones give you the most amount of damage, punch through the most armor, break your weapon the fastest. These ones I don't really like to be loading into the Gatling Laser. They can be good to have on hand though, if you want to be fighting big enemies like Deathclaws, or enemies that have more armor like the giant rad scorpions. The Gatling Laser just normally can kill those enemies pretty fast, but this will allow you to kill them a bit faster, so it can be worth it to take those along. I would normally though, if I'm gonna be picking like electronic charge packs as one of my things and I have max cells of them, I'd probably be putting that in like the Tesla cannon though, because it works a bit better there. But it's fine in the Gatling Laser too. And then you have the optimized cells. These give you more damage, punch through more armor, and break your weapon slightly faster. These are the cells that I generally put into the Gatling Laser. I think they're the best ones. They just give you more damage, more armor pen, and the increase in weapon break speed is not that much better. You will need Vigilant Recycler in order to get that, but that does help out the Gatling Laser quite a bit. So for an overall rating for the Gatling Laser, I think I'm going to put this one right up into S tier. I think just the normal Gatling Laser is incredibly strong, more so if you have set lasers to fun and if you have Laser Commander as perks. There is the modified version of the Gatling Laser too, which we should talk about now, where the modified version can get two mods onto it. One is that it can get that carbon fiber frame that we talked about, which decreases its weight from 18 to 9. That's the same thing as heavyweight, so again, if you have the perk heavyweight and you're using more heavy weapons, you won't necessarily need this. But if you don't have the perk heavyweight, this is just a straight buff to the Gatling Laser, so that's pretty good. And then there is also the laser optics, which these ones are the best because they increase your base damage by 3. So you go from 10 base damage to 13 base damage, so your DPS goes up a lot. That is a huge increase to DPS for the Gatling Laser. And again, even more so if you're running like a crit Gatling Laser build. This one is just a straight upgrade from the regular Gatling Laser, and I think it's my absolute favorite version of the Gatling Laser. So I'd put this one also up into S tier, just above the regular Gatling Laser. There is also a unique version of the Gatling Laser too, which is called the Spurtlewood 9700. And this one you do have to buy from the Silver Rush, and you're also going to need the Gunrunner's Arsenal DLC in order to get it. This one looks a little bit different, and it functions a bit different. So this one is shooting green lasers rather than the red lasers. This one also has lower requirements to use. So this one requires 100 energy weapons and only 6 strength to wield. Weirdly enough, I don't know why it requires less strength. That's kind of unusual for unique weapons. This one does 16 damage on hit, which is quite a bit more than the regular Gatling Laser. This one has less DPS though at 320. That is still more than the base Gatling Laser, but this one does have a slower rate of fire than the other Gatling Laser does. And you do kind of feel that. It also has a different sound animation too when you're shooting these out. And I swear that the lasers are a little bit thicker. I'm not sure why that is. It might just be because they're green and all the other lasers are red. This one does 16 crit damage, so a bit more crit damage. Still has a very low crit modifier at 0.04. So it's not likely to hit crits, but again, if you're going to go with Laser Commander and set lasers to fun, you don't really care about that. You're just going to get more damage that way. This one also costs 30 action points to use in VATS, same as the regular one. Has slightly better spread at 0.5, making it still pretty accurate. That's quite good. That's still better than like half of the handguns, so that's kind of cool. This one's magazine size is substantially less though. This one only holds 90 rounds in it rather than the 240. I don't really like that about the Spurtlewood. I don't hate it because it still gives you plenty of ammo to be using in most situations, but it doesn't feel as good as like the 240 rounds that the Gatling Laser has. This one weighs 15 weight, so it is lighter than a regular Gatling Laser, and that does make it so heavyweight will cut this down to 7.5 weight, which is pretty good. This doesn't have like the carbon fiber frame you can put on, so you don't have to worry about that, so heavyweight could be a pretty good option if you want to be using this one in particular. And this one has less item health than the regular Gatling Laser at 1,000 rather than 1,500. I don't know why that is. That's a little bit strange too. Most of the time unique weapons have more item HP, but this one's kind of all over the place. This one's still pretty good. It's still quite strong. I would still say that this one's at least on par with the Gatling Laser. I don't think it's as good as like the modified Gatling Laser though. I think that's the best version of the Gatling Laser, and this one just doesn't feel quite the same to me. I'm still going to put it up into S tier because it's still a pretty strong energy weapon, but it's going to be on the lower end of S tier, whereas the other ones are pretty solid or pretty high S tier. So this one still feels good, but I don't know if I'd go out of my way to really get it over a regular Gatling Laser. I guess if I couldn't get a regular one with the optics on there, then maybe I'd use this one a little bit more. Okay, now that we did go over the Gatling Lasers, let's talk about the Plasma Caster, because I forgot about that in the last video, and let's rank it. This is the modified Plasma Caster, because I forgot this thing even had a mod. It has one mod which increases its rate of fire by 25%. That is really good for the Plasma Caster. This one's also going to go up into S tier. I think this is the best version of the Plasma Caster. The other ones I put into, I think, A tier, and I would kind of stick by that. Plasma Caster modded, I think, is the best version of it. Better than the unique version and better than the regular version. Thank you guys so very much for watching this. Tell me your thoughts on the Gatling Laser and its unique variants down in the comments below. I would love to hear that. I think the Gatling Laser is one of the coolest weapons in all of Fallout. Really, in any of the Fallout games, it's really one of my favorites in like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4. I think it fits really, really well in the world. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody!